He had the features that an artist would want, and he had the body that an artist would want. I really would have liked to know the man.
Working with Sargent, or any other painter who could maintain the necessary mental pressure, Corsi would respond to every idea of the artist like a musical instrument. In England, Corsi posed for one of Queen Victoria's daughters, a sculptor. One day, the Queen came to the studio and talked with him. That was always one of his great memories. The princess afterward did a great deal for Corsi's two children.
Being an artist model is extremely grueling, particularly if you're expected to hold a very difficult pose. They would stand for a very long time. It was definitely not an easy job to do. Quite often the poses could be quite tortuous, quite difficult, so one really needed to have a great deal of stamina and to be very physically fit.
Corsi says he tries to think and look the character he represents when posing, and adds that when he poses as the devil, his thoughts are malignant and venomous. And when as a saint, his bosom feels the same calm repose that comes to those whose lives are blameless.
He could get away with almost any type of persona. So they could have him portray the Indian, or they could have him portray the cavalry guy. They could have him portray the soldier. He could portray the lover. He could portray whatever it was required at the time. Corsi knew how to pose in a way to look that part.
During that time, there was kind of a debate about whether life drawing and life modeling was appropriate.
Royal palaces have known Corsi as a guest, but today he honors with his presence an abode of common mortals. If you see a strange, haunting face on Market Street, a face that recalls a picture, a statue, or a mural decoration, don't let your imagination play you any tricks, but say to yourself, that's Corsi. Antonio Corsi, artist's model.
He's trying to provide food and shelter for his children first and foremost, any way he can. The boys were put in boarding school. My nana was in some kind of a finishing school. His wife was ill and he was trying to take care of her.
Life is too short. We just have to do the best we can. He traveled all over the world, but I'm sure he would have loved to live more than 54 or 55 years in his life, to accomplish much more than he did. But, you know, he did a lot in his 55 years. I don't think I did as much as he did in my 93 years, so God bless him. That's
Dear Mr. Corsi, I received your photograph. I thank you for it. It is very good, and it was very kind of you to send it to me. Please excuse me for writing in pencil. I left my pen in school.
The old organ grinder was none other than Signor Antonio Corsi, a noted interpreter of fully 100 characters and who posed for the family statue, The End of the Trail, exhibited at the San Francisco Exposition and now seen in nearly every home in the land.
He was getting a little older. He was starting to feel it. In a movie, he could have a free flow of motion. Corsi was enough of a character in that he was able to perform. He was undoubtedly a bit of an iconoclast in his own way. And this is an area that iconoclasts were drawn to. Los Angeles was a much freer area. Even though the area was growing up, it was still a little bit of the frontier out here. And so he had the ability to live in a community, but he still had some freedom of expression. And the movies were a natural progression of that freedom of expression.
A lot of people out here in California, especially Pasadena, came out for their health, and there was a lot of people with TB moved out here. A lot of different homes and hotels and things like that were set up for people to come and just live because their health was failing.
Corsi lived a very active lifestyle. He had tuberculosis, and there was no cure then for it. He was in his 50s. He was still a fairly young man, and he'd been a strong man, but that stuff's devastating. Corsi really felt at the end of his life that he had accomplished a lot, but yet he hadn't. His life had kind of crumbled down around him.
Antonio Corsi, world-famous model for celebrated painters and sculptors, is dead. He died penniless yesterday in the vine-covered cottage, 6418 Eagle Rock Avenue, where he lived among costumes and paintings and relics of romantic days long gone by. Corsi gave inspiration to many artists who've made him live forever in bronze, stained glass, and on canvas. At the head of his cot hung a picture of himself and a skeleton with the grim inscription, "Antonio Corsi, as he is now and as he will be in 1950.